special year because the foundation's now 15 years old. And also this year we have the UN looking at the Millennium Development Goals, which were the world's progress from 1990 to 2015, and adopting the next 15 years of goals. So what can we get done by 2030? So we pick health, education, farming, and banking and say, we think some very dramatic things can happen. In fact, we go as far as to say we bet that life for the poorest will improve more in this 15-year period than it ever has before.
So let's get right into the 4 areas. I want to start with health because I think that is where you're making both a set of big bets on what technology can do and on what just fixing the infrastructure can do. So what are the sort of the 2 areas that you see happening in health?
Yeah, health is where we've spent the most money. The majority of our work has been there. Part of that is the upstream science, inventing new vaccines, and part of it's been the downstream. Once you have those vaccines, how do you get them out to all the world's children? We're raising the money so that the limited budgets of those countries don't block them from getting even the very latest vaccine. So one for diarrhea called rotavirus. Next 5 years we'll get out to all the kids. One for respiratory disease called pneumococcus. We'll get out to all the kids. And those 2 alone will save over 500,000 lives. And that's why we think we can go from the 1 in 20 kids, 5%, who died before the age of 5, now, 15 years from now, get that down to be 1 in 40.
In addition to health, Gates thinks farming will get far more productive for the world's poor.
Well, to get agricultural productivity up, you want many factors working in your favor. You want better seeds. You want farmers to adopt the best seeds. The farmers have got to be a lot more educated because they can often grow 2 crops in a season, and the way they deal with soil health by rotating the crops can make a big difference. They also need a credit system because if they don't have the money to get fertilizer, that alone will cut their productivity very substantially. And so that farmer education system, that's sometimes called the extension system, the R&D to make those better seeds, which is really very underfunded, by managing those things well, we predict that we'll get African productivity up to 1.5 times where it is today. And that will get Africa to the point where even with its population growth, somewhat worse weather, instead of importing food, it will be able to feed itself.
So when you talk about developing better seeds, that to me sounds like you're talking about GMOs without really talking about GMOs. Is that a term that you're avoiding because it's a boogeyman? Even though when people figure out what GMOs are, they're generally okay with it. It seems like we're not talking about actually big ag companies doing GMO research.
Well, GMOs are very well accepted in some countries like the United States and not as well accepted in Europe. The African countries will have a choice of whether to use those tools. And there is quite a bit of improvement still available with conventional breeding. But in this time frame, the GMO-derived seeds will provide far better productivity, better drought tolerance, salinity tolerance. And if the safety is proven, then the African countries will be among the biggest beneficiaries. And so by making sure that their safety review is well funded, so it's all done on a basis, the same as we do for medicines. I mean, after all, medicines, some are very dangerous, and yet, every country says if something goes through a safety review, they're not going to deny themselves the benefit of breakthrough medicine. So I think most of Africa will see this as a way to improve their productivity, but it's a sovereign decision. No one makes that for them. Availability of the world's best teacher who can see where you're confused, set the right pace for you, where all your engagement with that material, your teacher or your parent or your friend can connect up and see where you're stuck and give you some advice. We're not there yet. 15 years ago, we were just sticking cameras in front of people and putting it online and saying, okay, isn't that the solution? Now, people like Khan Academy and hundreds of others have said, okay, the lecture piece is part of it, but interactive problem sets and having your coach see what it is and understanding the nature of what you might be confused about and explaining to you why you should gather this knowledge. And so the view is that over the next 15 years, that type of material will be wildly better than even the best is today. And it will be available through phones and tablets. It won't replace face-to-face, the social context, the relationship with that teacher, but it'll be playing a gigantic role in letting you catch up, move ahead, and overcome whatever limitations your class size has.